You know, since this channel launched in 2023, we've seen many handhelds, many, many handhelds. In fact, it's kind of amazing if you think about it, how many of these are produced and continue to be produced. And even though the tariffs have sort of thrown a little wrench in the plans, there are more of these coming out every day. And today is no different, friends, as we look at the game console H36S, a handheld which promises to bring the all-winner A133P to you, featuring a 3.5-inch horizontal screen. Can this handheld distinguish itself and show us that it is another competitor, another hidden gem, just like the Battle XP G350 was this year? Or is this yet just another handheld in a sea of handhelds that is middling? Well, we're going to find out. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our content. But let's dive in and take a look at the game console H36S. Hey, have you ever looked at yourself and thought, "Oh my God, man, what the heck is going on with me? I need help." Well, come on down to Billy Bob's Cryotherapy, where we can freeze you for the next 50 years and you can wait for science to catch up so you can fix that. Wait a second, I'm not a scientist. I don't have a place like that. Can they do that? I don't think so. Hey, Deadheads, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at yet another handheld. As always, we'll start with the box here. And the H36S box is sort of nice. It's very blue. Yeah, someone likes blue and white. I like blue and white. So it's a nice looking box. We do have the game console open source smart pocket. Now we've seen the smart pocket before, namely in the metal Android CB408. And I think we've seen it in the O30S. So this is coming from a similar manufacturer since it has that. It also has that slogan, purpose built to spark your imagination. So pretty cool stuff there. Moving around the side of the box, there's nothing there, just a logo with the H36S. And it does have a slot for the color and TF card size, but those are not filled in on our unit. And then moving to the back, we do have some specs. And looking over the specs here again, this does have the all-winner A133 Plus. Got to get the Plus. With the GPU having the PowerVR GE 8300, 1 gig of LPDDR3 RAM, and this is a 3.5-inch 640 by 480 screen, the same screen we're used to seeing. This does have a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, at least per the specs, lasting up to 5 hours. Now, the packaging again is nice. This is a slide out packaging, so we slide the top part out, and we do have underneath, and we'll open up. Voila! We got it open, so let's get the handheld out of the way here. And we did go with the purple. We like purple here at Retro Gaming with Dead Fred. And underneath, you can see it's got its normal plastic, and then there's just a USB-C cord in the manual. We don't have any sort of screen protector this time around. That's okay. This is a ultra budget handheld. But taking a look at this USB cord, and it is our typical USB A to C cord, so nothing exciting there. And then we do have our handheld game console manual for the H36S. This manual is done fairly well. It does have some specs here. It does have some game day folders on card 2 and some information about it. So this could come in useful and handy. Interesting that this manual is completely in English. There's not any Mandarin or Chinese or anything on this. So that's kind of fascinating. But let's get all this stuff back in the box. and let's talk about the handheld itself. Sorry to interrupt the video, deadheads, but I wanted to share with you this great sling bag from Genki. Our friends at Amazon sent this over for us to review, and I wanted to share with you how awesome and amazing this bag is for transporting your precious handhelds. This bag has awesome features such as a Fidlock magnetic clasp, a design for modern handhelds, and it's not your average cheap PCV carry. This is crafted with high quality materials and premium hardware. The black one that I have here has Cordura, that's right, Cordura 1000D exterior. Renowned for its durability and strength, Cordura 1000 has a double PU waterproof coating, making this black Saya ultra rugged. As I show you this opening of some of my handhelds here, I have found this to be my friend when I want to take more than one handheld. Yeah, I'm crazy. I have several handhelds. But something like the upcoming Switch 2 would also benefit from this awesome bag. Anyways, hit the link if you want to pick one of these up in the description below. We want to thank our friends at Genki and Amazon for sending this over. Back to the show. All right, now that we've got the handheld out, let's take a look at this. And initial impressions are this is very much like the O30S. If you recall, check out our review of the O30S. We did the original and the version 2 that came out with the refresh. So maybe this H36S will also be refreshed at some point. The O30S was better in its second iteration, but this is a nice form factor. The shape of this is nice. It has nice little curves on the side to help hold it and grip. It's very lightweight, but the plastic does feel a little cheap, a little older Pow Kitty type plastic. So it's matte finish, but it's nice and nothing fancy there. Looking around the handheld, there is nothing on the back. It's very generic, which is fine by us. There are two little vents back there for the speakers. Or maybe the speakers are on the bottom because there's vents there too. So I'm not real sure on that. But let's test out this hardware and these buttons. The buttons are okay. They're not bad. They're not my favorite style of buttons, but they seem to be independent. It doesn't feel like when I'm pressing them if they're pressing all together. So that's nice. The D-pad, is a nice style, but the D-pad's a little stiff. Not a lot of pivot on the D-pad, so a little bit of a disappointment there with the D-pad in my first test here. But maybe it'll turn in on us. And then the switch style sticks, which are in the correct format for what this can play. We do have them on the bottom. They're just switch style. They seem to be nice. They get good travel distance. And they click. So not bad. And then we have a start and select. But curiously, there's a real lack of any sort of other buttons on the face. Now moving to the top, we do have our volume up and down. We have a reset button, and then we do have our power button. But there's no sort of home menu button on this thing, so that's kind of a little bit of a letdown. Checking out the shoulder buttons, and these are in the stacked configuration, so if you're a fan of stacked configuration, you'll probably like these. They seem adequate. They're a little bit thin. The L1 and R1 is super thin, and so it feels a little weird kind of pressing on it. It's a little strange, but I kind of got used to it. But overall, I'd say they're adequate. They're not the best. They're adequate though. Overall impressions of holding this thing, it is sufficient to hold. I like it. It's comfortable. It's light. The plastic is somewhat cheap, but it's nicely done. And yeah, it's just a nice handheld to hold. Now let's start talking about the actual gameplay and the CPU. Now, the H36S ships with the all-winner A133 Plus, a CPU we first saw way back in the Trim UI Smart Pro, and then eventually we saw it in the Brick as well, and now it started to come out in many different handhelds, including the Powkitty V20 and some other handhelds. This is becoming a popular CPU. Custom firmware has not kept up with this CPU yet. There's some issues with the CPU as far as things go, sort of like Portmaster, the Linux support underneath, and etc. So this does have a CPU that I think can grow, but keep in mind, this is not established like something like the 3566, a Narak chip, or 3326 we're used to seeing. That being said, this performed a little differently than we expected. So let's talk about that. Upon investigation, upon playing this thing ended up being limited to 58 hertz in its display modes. I'll show you some footage here showing that on RetroArch. We couldn't get this to hit 60 hertz, which of course limits the availability of it and the smoothness of the screen and everything. So I'm hoping this is a software issue and can be implemented in the future. Hopefully custom firmware will come to this. We know that Trim UI has some pretty good custom firmware support going on with something like CrossMix or Surwish. So we do hope it does that. But upon booting this up, we do see that this does ship with Batocera. Now, Batocera is a pretty good collection of software, but it's locked down. It doesn't give the freedom that a lot of people like. It's sort of curated for you, which is good for many people. This does ship with a lot of different games and on the card, which is curated depending on the configuration that you purchase. Now, as I show some game footage here, this thing has run as expected. The All-Winner A133P does have some advantages. It can play certain things a little better than the Rockchip 3566, but overall, there is also some limitations when you want to do something like Portmaster, especially since this is limited in the RAM. But we had a good time playing on this. I found myself playing it quite a bit. I think the overall use case for this is going to come down, as always, to cost to performance. This is going to get you solid gameplay through PlayStation 1. Anything above that, the N64, PSP, Nintendo dual screen, it's going to work pretty well, but you're going to have some caveats and have to make some trade-offs here. Overall, the All-Winner A133P is also coming in the upcoming Heligali Action Pi, the smaller one. And so we're going to see the CPU, I think, continue through this year to come out. Hopefully that means that we'll get better custom firmware, better support, and have better outcomes for this. For now, it's kind of limited. You're on this Batocera, and I really just think that maybe this is going to be better in the future. But for right now, it's doable, but there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of handhelds out there, including the very excellent Anbernic 35XX H, which is already, probably the best in its class for this size screen. So let's sum this review up overall. This is a nice, comfortable handheld to hold. It lacks Wi-Fi. It does support Wi-Fi with a dongle, which is good. It has Batocera loaded on it, which is also good. No more of the days of getting something like this and having those really terrible firmwares. Batocera is a very adequate firmware, although many people have different opinions about it and like it or don't like it in different kinds of ways. It's got a decent screen, but it's a screen we've seen over and over again. The D-pad's a little stiff. Buttons are okay. Shoulder buttons are not too bad, except the L1 and R1 are a little thin for my liking. It does come in a couple attractive colors. But if you can get this thing at the right price, it's not a bad handheld. Unfortunately, because there's no exciting custom firmware on this right now, there's nothing real special about this. I think if I was going to go with an all-winner A133P, I'd stick with the Trim UI line right now. You're just getting better stuff out of that for the CPU. So, guys, I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's kind of just middling. And that's my review of this, the H36S. The biggest issue here is the 58 hertz. I don't know if that's going to be solved, but keep that in mind. Some people are very sensitive to screen issues, and that may bother you quite a bit if that is something that bothers you. For me, it didn't really bother me too much, and I probably wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't have seen other people mention it. So shout out to all those in the Discord that help test these things. Anyways, guys, remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones, because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time with another handheld review that is e-waste. Looking for that gem like the Battle XP. See you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.